This is Facets of Connection, where we are transforming relationships within an evolving world. Brought to you by Relational Life Foundation and hosted by me, Sarah Melissa Oswald. This exclusive podcast series delves into the heart of human connection, exploring how we learn, love, and collaborate within a dynamic society. We'll uncover the power of respectful relationships and their essential role in the human experience. I invite you to embark on a journey with me to create a more connected, empathic world for future generations. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to introduce you to our remarkable guests, Stacy and Yaron Brown. They are licensed professional counselors, a married couple of 17 years, and the co-founders of the Relational Growth and Wellness Foundation. Their work is dedicated to bringing healing, transformation, and liberation to BIPOC and Pan-African communities through accessible mental health care, relational education, and authentic cultural representation. Their mission goes beyond treating symptoms. Yaron and Stacy are passionate about transforming generational legacies within the BIPOC community. Rooted in a radical belief in love, they use relational life therapy, RLT, to help individuals, couples, and families break cycles of generational trauma and to build thriving relationships. Their nonprofit is also committed to developing future leaders by offering supervision and mentorship, ensuring that the next generation of therapists is equipped to truly serve. Through strategic partnerships, including their upcoming collaboration with Relational Life Foundation, they are expanding access to culturally competent therapy and relational tools. Today's conversation is about radical love, representation, and generational healing, one relationship at a time. I trust you will be moved by this conversation. And with that, here we go. Thank you both so much for joining me for this conversation. Would you take a moment to introduce yourselves and tell our listeners anything you feel is important?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us, Sarah. We really appreciate this opportunity to be guests on your podcast. My name is Stacy Brown. I am a licensed professional counselor, a wife, a mother, and the co-founder of Relational Growth and Wellness Foundation. This is also known as RGW Foundation. It's our nonprofit to our for-profit group mental health practice, RGW Institute. So Yaron and I began this journey many, many moons ago. Personally, I started in mental health just with a desire to understand and heal patterns within my own community, within my own family. And so when Yaron and I put our heads together, we said that, hey, let's really do something that changes the shape of our people. And our people, when I say that, BIPOC community. Let's start shifting these patterns that we've created, the generational trauma, the shame, the silence, the ultimate resilience, right? And that has really leaned into us having this strong focus on ultimately breaking the stigma that there is around mental health and with people of color, and helping them understand that there is other options for you and you don't have to keep so many things inward. And there are people outside that can help you and guide you and create this space to make healing accessible. So that's where we are, and that's why we're here.
I'm really curious about the stigma you speak of. I have a sense of what that could mean. Do you want to say a little bit more about what you have found to be stigmatized around
Yeah,
mental health in BIPOC
absolutely.
communities?
Absolutely. Historically, especially within the African American or Black community, right? Which the idea seemed to transcend within the Latino culture, within the Asian culture, within the Indian culture, just again, people of color, that you don't go outside of your home for help, right? You don't talk about your problems. You don't let other people in. Your one source is going to be the higher calling that you believe in, and that's it, right? And so when you introduce the idea of mental health professionals and having someone on the outside help you with what's going on with you on the inside, it's like, oh, well, I'm not talking to anybody because I'm not a crazy person. Like, that's the first thing. I'm not crazy. You don't have to be crazy to get help with any situations or issues or troubles that you're going through, right? But that's the idea. And it's deep rooted, right? You keep your family business inside your family. You talk to somebody outside, you're crazy. You don't want to be identified as crazy. Who on the outside, which is for us, has always been primarily white faces, how can you relate and help? Right. So why would I do that? So here we go. We have generations upon generations, history upon history. Let's just keep all of our problems on the inside. We're gonna deal with it. We're gonna figure it out, which doesn't happen, right? It as it only gets worse. And let's live in that. Let's continue to live in that. Yaron and I found that again, being a person of color and being a mental health professional, that no, there's better ways than what we have been trained to do, what has been ingrained in us. And if we are a face that is recognizable for someone else who looks like us, that automatically opens up that door of encouragement. Like, hey, just based upon looks alone, I can relate, right? So come in and let's explore together and let me help you heal so that you can be the best version of yourself.
Mm. Wow. I just feel the weight, the significance of what you're doing when you speak to it that way. And the two of you are beacons of light
We try to
and
be.
hope. I
Look,
can I
that
can feel
that's
it.
that's our number one focus and goal. We are really out here just trying to shape as many lives as we can of people within our community, because there's better. They need to know that there is better, that they can be better, and they're not stuck within what our history has defined for us up to this point.
I have things I would like to respond with, but I want to make sure we hear Yaron's voice and bring him into the conversation here.
Well, I'm the fun one of the bunch, so let's clarify that off the rip. Um,
Uh-huh.
yes, no competition at all, but I was the first LPC in the Brown household, so just
Oh,
that's
here we
clear.
go.
First LPC. So Ben, let me clarify.
Mhm.
Stacy, my wife, was a catalyst for me obtaining my LPC. So let me clarify that. So she has some. She was LPC adjacent, right? So the close second. Close second. So I am Yaron Brown. I am a veteran. I'm the co-founder of RGW Institute and Foundation. My passion for this work was born out of growing up in an environment where, to be honest, I know there was love present, but not always healthy and safe. I've worked through a lot of the trauma and healing and rebuilding, not only as a veteran, but just as a human being on this planet, a African American or Black human being on this planet. And I've just not done it professionally, but I've done it personally. And I'm continuing to do it, right? I'm constantly on this journey of working through things that I didn't even recognize existed. And I'm doing it as a professional and personally because I'm always interacting with individuals or couples that give me greater insight into myself. And that's what drives me. And so together, we've created something extremely special. When we think about RGW Foundation and Institute, we think about loving relationships. We think about helping Black men, women, and families to liberate themselves and really just not cope and not just survive, but actually begin the idea of thriving. We've spent long enough just trying to survive. And we now have a space for them to really be themselves authentically and not have to hide pieces of themselves because of fear of something. And whether it's judgment, whether it's ridicule, whether it's just not feeling safe, we want to provide space for that safety.
And I think, Sarah, that's what makes us unique, right? Like we bring a combination of lived experience. Yaron and I, we've gone through this. We share parts of ourselves with our clients so that they understand they're not alone in this journey. And they're getting someone that just doesn't have clinical expertise, but we have cultural fluency. And overall, like we thrive on just this radical belief in love. And we know that if we can center ourselves and we can love ourselves wholly, we can love each other wholly, and we can really start making some forward changes and movements. And so we always say to each other, we're not here to treat people's symptoms, right? We are transforming legacies within our culture.
Whew. Yes. That's a big
And
statement.
yeah, and y'all out there, don't try and trademark that. So let me clarify that.
That's
So
yours.
it's already there. It's already there. Don't even think about it. Don't put it on a shirt or nothing. It's already
Talking to
there.
our listeners,
Yeah, absolutely.
don't try to take that.
Don't try and take that, right? Because if you do, I'm jumping on whatever social media platform you want, and I'm saying that's mine. So just so you know.
So that's a statement that you use in your writing, the write-up of your
Yes.
mission.
Yes.
You wanna say it one more time? 'Cause it was powerful. I can't repeat it. Can you repeat it for me?
What I said was that we are not here to treat people's symptoms. We are here to transform the legacies of our culture.
Mm.
And that's the work that we do.
Hell yeah. A few things stood out to me. You talked about being the right people for this because you're not just experts in therapy, but you have lived experience. And that is something that all relational life therapists are taught to bring their personhood, right? To bring their own experience when it makes sense to do so.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that you didn't really name that I think must be such a powerful piece in working with the two of you is that you're a married couple and you get to draw upon your playful relationship and
Absolutely.
experience in the room with clients. And that must be so powerful and also nourishing for your own relationship, I would imagine. What's
Yes.
that
And
like?
so, yeah, Yaron and I have been married for 17 years, and we have been working with each other for 15 out of 17 of those years. And that is absolutely the top of this being a unique experience for couples because we see couples together. And when a couple comes in front of us, they're not just getting co-joint therapy, two separate clinicians who just happen to be a male and a female that are coming into this space. They're getting a couple who is married. So no matter if they are heterosexual or homosexual or whatever classification that they are identifying with, they are getting two people who live this together, like daily. We are in the trenches. We have good days. We have our bad days. We have our ups. We have our downs. We do the work. And the one thing that I make sure that I share with our couples is that we can honestly say what the other side looks like when you get here. And we can
More about that.
testify to that, right? Like we can testify. We as within any relationship, we've gone through our own ups and downs, right? We have, and I know we haven't gotten into this either, but we have taken ROT, relational life therapy, and have applied it to our relationship and have seen how that has taken us from being a good couple to a great couple, right? How our communication has gone from good to outstanding. And so when you have a client in front of you, when we have a couple facing us who they don't know which way else to go, right? A lot of them like they're at the bottom. This is their last hope. They're trying to reconnect, they're trying to figure out their communication patterns. They're trying, right? They work, they have kids, they have parents, they have cultural identity issues, they have all these things that contribute to this pot of confusion, right? And all in the midst, they are really wanting to be relational with each other. They just don't know how. And so I think within every couple that we have seen over the years, there's always a piece of us that we identify within them, and we share that. And that's when I say that we are bringing our own lived experience, that we help them understand that we're going to get through this work and we're going to help you, because our goal is our goal is not to quote unquote save marriages, right? But our goal is to get your relationship to the place that works for you. And what we know is that by you coming to us, it hasn't been working. So you're open to doing something different. And that's what we lean into.
And they've got this beautiful role model right in front of them.
And that's it. And they see it, right? Because we go through things even in session, right? And we put names on it and we face it and we talk about it and we give them comparisons to how we would have responded years ago versus how we are responding now. And I think that just makes it more powerful because, again, we're not coming to you with just clinical textbook therapy, right? We're not doing that. That shit is old, right?
You're officially co-travelers
along this whole journey, and we're not going to leave you until you're ready.
I love it. I've always wanted to facilitate with my husband, but he's an engineer. And I think the truth is, I don't know too many other couples that have gone through the relational life therapy training the way you two have. And while there's a lot of individuals who've done the training who say how much it's helped their partnership, that's still only one half of the partnership. Yeah. And the fact that both of you have gone through it makes me so curious what happens behind closed doors with you, right? Like, how do you fight with each other? And what does that look like? It must be pretty evolved. So I won't ask you to share that with me now, but
we'll save that for the next
I'm
show.
Impressed. For the next show. But tell me more about your nonprofit. What's the mission exactly?
Go ahead, Mr. Brown. Or you want me to, because he'll say that I talk too much.
You do. And that's okay. But it's loving that you do this. Yes, you are passionate about this. So go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Okay. And so for the listeners and Sarah, y'all all hear that he has given me permission. I have to keep going, but I guarantee you this is going to come back up that I talked a lot on this podcast.
Okay.
Okay. So the mission of our foundation is really simple. Our goal is to provide access to those communities that are underprivileged, underserved, right? What access? Access to mental health, access to workshops, access to different programs to help shape who they are, okay? It's while we love working with everybody, right? It's generally not the ones that come to you who have the resources that, really, really need it. You understand what I'm saying? It's the ones who they don't have insurance. They can't afford any money. They are stuck in such a deep generational cursed history that they can't even see what's in front of them, let alone be able to know that they can go out there and get some help because they look at it and they believe that it's unreachable, right? And so what our mission is to help break down those walls, right? If we can come out here and we can continue to put in front of you free resources, low cost resources, this is going to give you an opportunity because sometimes that's all people need. All they need is an opportunity. And once they have it, then they can make that choice of, okay, let me step through the door, right? But if the opportunity is never present, then how can we move forward?
Of course.
So
and I truly do understand. I also run a nonprofit with a similar intention to make therapeutic services accessible to people who might not even think to go after them otherwise. Affordable and accessible. And so as you're speaking, I'm imagining those communities that wouldn't even think to look for it.
Mhm.
How do you reach them?
So part of this is when we talk about when we spoke about liberation, when I spoke about liberation before, right? Liberation is not only it's not an idea, it's a whole concept. And in order for us to move forward, we have to liberate the mind, right? And part of liberating the mind is identifying that accessibility is for them, right? They have a right to be mentally healthy, that they have a right to have a wonderful relationship, right? These transgenerational traumas that they're suffering from, that they're continuing to reinforce, they aren't even aware of it because they're in this survival mode constantly. And if we can offer some insight to helping them to connect with that, whether it's through your podcast, whether it's through another podcast, whether it's through offering those services in those communities that they never thought possible, right? Even if we get two then communicates to other people in their community that this is something that we need to be a part of because I've seen change and I've seen structural differences not only in myself, but in my family. And I am more relational than I ever have been in my entire life, not only with others, but with myself first because the relationship starts with you, the individual, doesn't start with everyone outside. It works its way out, but it starts with you first. And so we really work on offering those services to people that just don't even, that may not consider it. But the difference is that sometimes they often see us. And that is the difference in whether or not they are going to take that opportunity or not. And we are who we are. We don't put on airs for anyone. This is who we genuinely are, right? And I think that we have an ability to connect with others through our genuineness, which then allows them to bring down their guard enough to say that maybe I do need help,
Mhm.
right? And we are just through conversation, and I'm saying this because just through conversations with family and friends, we have gotten so many referrals for other therapists that we have because of who we are and because of how we present that they think that, oh man, I didn't know mental health. I didn't know this was being mentally healthy. I didn't know doing these things meant that you were going to be mentally healthy. I didn't know that self-care looked like this. I didn't know that being relational looks like this. I didn't know that I needed to really talk to somebody because I'm going through something in the moment and not just hiding it or avoiding it or burying it or trying to use some other method to deal with it.
You speak about liberation and changing mindsets. It makes me think it's not just, I mean, that the therapy itself is like the highest level of
Mhm.
support. And I know that well, haven't mentioned it yet here, but we are planning a partnership between your nonprofit and the nonprofit I run, Relational Life Foundation.
Yes.
And these these ideas of liberation and changing your mindset of I'm even worthy of getting this kind of support. I
Mhm.
feel like that's the ground level of how we
Yes.
could reach people is by just starting that conversation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. And what I was going to say to that is these conversations is what matters so much right now. Because when we look at our community, we look at that Pan African diaspora, we are in such a pivotal moment, right? Like we're holding so much. Like we're holding the trauma of our past, we're holding the exhaustion of our present, we're holding the hope for something better. Like there's so much that contributes to the weight and the burden that we carry. And we understand that tools is what's going to get people there. You know, we can't continue to live off of hope forever. We need tools. And we know the tools. Yaron and I know the tools. So we want to give the tools. And we want to continue to give the tools to as many people as we can. And so we really look at this partnership, Sarah, as an opportunity for us to just continue to bring those tools out: healthy love, accountability, setting boundaries, right? Understanding them, repair, joy, connection. being relational, all the things delivered to people who look like us and get us.
And repair is so important, right? Because we don't think about repair.
Mm-mm.
We think about escape. We think about moving on. We think about avoidance, right? But we don't think about repair. And we don't think about huh?
Who is the we that you're speaking to here?
So when I talk about we, I'm talking about Pan-African diaspora,
Thank you.
right? Marginalized individuals,
Yes.
right? We'll go there. We don't,
Does
we don't,
Pan-African diaspora, can you tell me exactly who that includes?
Everybody.
It catches a lot of people. Yeah.
yeah, Pan-African and BIPOC are very different, right? Pan-African refers to those that originated from the continent of Africa, right? That were enslaved and or migrated to different locations around the world. And so some of them identify as being Pan-African, some identify as being Black, some identify based on their nationality, right? But some of us have very unique experiences, and a lot of us have intertwining experiences in some of those communities. And so we are serving not only the BIPOC community, but the Pan-African / Black community, right? Not only in America, but abroad. And so historically, there has been challenges in that.
Sarah, Yaron is a historian. So if you open the door,
I'm not going through it. I'm not going
Well,
through it.
I just
That's why I
wanted to
stopped
hear it from
myself.
you.
That's why I stopped myself.
To define what
Yes.
that's a large swath of our population.
Yes.
And when you said abroad as well, it made me think I've seen some applications come through for our scholarship program that the foundation runs to suggest scholars to Relational Life Institute for a discount so they can access the training program. And I've had a number of them come through from different African countries.
Beautiful.
And the context that they want to bring it into is often quite different than those therapists that are applying from here. Like
Yes.
I've had a minister apply, like he just wants to be able to help his community.
Yes.
Well, he's not a therapist, he's not a coach, but he
Mhm.
wants some skills to bring
Yeah.
home.
the tools,
Yeah.
because he has realized we can't survive off of hope. Hope is not going to move the people. It's not going to change the community.
Yes.
Going to heal.
I just wanted to put a plug in there. Maybe we
I
can
love
talk
that.
about that another time for
Absolutely.
We're gonna have a whole series, Sarah. Like we can.
I think so too. I think so too. This is just the very beginning of the conversation. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yes.
Tell me why now? Our country is in a very unique time.
Yes. Very pivotal.
Perhaps a pivotal
pivotal.
time. Tell me why now is the moment that you approached me about this partnership.
So I look at it not about where our country is, but what our community continues to hold on to. And Yaron and I, we are only two people, right? And so we started RGW Institute, in which it's a training facility. So what Yaron did not mention is that he is a clinical supervisor. So he does cohorts of training individuals who want to become licensed. And we're not training them just to become licensed. We're training them with the knowledge and experience that we have, right? He is giving a huge part of himself to his supervisees so that they are change agents when they go off and start doing this work, whether it be with us or on their own. And so now is the time because, hey, there's not enough resources out there. Yes, the mental health community has changed, it has become more diverse over the years, but it's still not enough. It's still not enough. And we continue to see more and more and more people of color needing the tools necessary to heal. And I'm going to keep saying this because our people are hurting. They are hurting. And I think that society has, or media has given us illustrations of how much we're hurting, right? you see what's going on in the world today. You see what's going on in America and what's happening to people who are not white, right? We're seeing that. And this has been going on for a long time. So media is just highlighting it now more so than ever. But our people are hurting. And so what can we do? We look at why we are here on this planet and what our purpose is. And we do honestly believe that our purpose is to reach and touch as many lives as we can. And that's both directly and indirectly. So if we can create a space, Sarah, that once we are gone, it is still thriving, because that's our goal. The work is not going to end when Yaron and I are no longer here. The work will continue. And so to find another organization that is of like-minded vision and mission and goals, and what is the ultimate thing that we want for people in general, it doesn't come too often, right? And so we have that within you. We had it. So why not connect and bring these two organizations together so that we can reach more? Because our mission is the same. We have a focus on doing it for a certain community, right? But the mission is the same.
Agreed. The mission is the same.
Absolutely.
You spoke about, because of the fact that you are Black Americans yourselves, that you can speak to a certain segment of the community in a way that I couldn't. Yeah. And from the very beginning, when I started Relational Life Foundation, I knew that it had to be part of our mission to diversify the community of practitioners if we are going to truly serve a wider breadth of the population.
And so part of this is, when we first started out, we looked at it and said, this isn't diverse. This isn't as diverse as we thought it was going to be coming into it, right? And to Terry's credit, I'll give him credit. I pushed him.
Who's Terry?
Terry Real, the founder of RLT, right? So I pushed him, and Stacy pushed him, and we said, well, where are you trying to go with this? Right? And he was very open in saying, I didn't think about it initially. Now I realize how important it is. I'm really ready to take it there. So we said, well, let's see, how much are you really ready to take it there? And then we talked to you and you were like, I'm ready to take it there. And we're like, well, let's see how much you're really ready to take it there. And there was an ownership. And we can't sit on the sidelines and say, oh man, they should be doing this, they should be doing that, when we need to go ahead and jump in and participate in it happening, right? Because you can complain all day, but what work are you doing to change? And we want to be part of that work.
If I'm being truly honest with you, the way that you two have stepped up and stepped in, you are presenting yourselves as keys to solving for some problem, right? This is, you are literally gifts to
Thank you. We
bridge relational life therapy with the Pan-African diaspora here in the States and abroad.
Absolutely.
We're at a very unique time in relational life therapy's growth, but also in our planet. And sorry, I've been really personally impacted by the state of our world right now. And it takes I just got flooded with grief. There's a lot of pain.
There is.
And a lot of people who could use some support. And I want to be part of that solution with you. I want to be a key with you to reaching people who might not find therapy otherwise, and relational support otherwise. I see lives transformed from this work. Yeah. And I want everybody to have access to it.
And the thing about it, I said before about having that opportunity, with that comes representation, right? Representation is everything. And that's what drives people out of their comfort zone. Having somebody, people our clients seek us out not because of our name, but because of who we are. They look at us. They look at us. They show up. They see that, oh my gosh, these are two people that look like me. They speak my cultural language. I'm at least going to give this an opportunity, a chance. And we hold that space for them.
Mhm. And
And
even if we don't speak their cultural, even if we have a different cultural understanding than they have. And so within the Pan-African community, we do have differences within the culture,
Of
right?
course.
But we're leading with that,
You're leading with what?
with
The
the
difference.
understanding of differences in culture. We're leading with where are you from and what you have going on, right?
Mhm.
So I'll give an example. We've had couples from varying locations around just the United States, right? And in that, if we believe just because they are of the same complexion or they identify both as being Black, that they have the same experience, somebody from the South may have a completely different experience from the North. Somebody from the West may have a completely different experience from the East Coast. And so if we aren't leading with that, then we don't understand the subcultures that exist within the culture itself, right? And Stacy and I are an example of that. I am from West Coast California with Southern roots, right? Born and raised in Compton. Stacy has a completely different historical context than I have. And we had to figure out how to make it work.
Well, say more. Where are you from, Stacey? I don't think I know
so,
that about you.
yeah, so I am a first generation American. So my roots, my parents are immigrants. They were immigrants to this country coming from South America and Central America. So I am a proud Afro Latina Caribbean woman. And so when we talk about that cultural fluency and lived experience within ourselves, and we share this with our clients and with our couples, right? You
Do you have different subcultures within your marriage?
within our home, and now we have children that we're raising,
Mhm.
and our children are being raised in a very unique household because mom has cultural beliefs, dad has cultural beliefs, and we are blending these together. So it's that understanding that the average white clinician is not going to have. And so you talk about what makes us unique and why this work is so meaningful to us. Like, this is why. Because we know that you can get to brown skinned people and the likelihood of them having the exact same experience growing up is slim to none.
But if you assume that they do, you've already missed a part of them.
Of course. Am I totally naive to say you could say that about every single person on this planet?
You can. You
We
can.
all have such different
To an extent.
experiences. To
Yes,
an extent.
to an extent, right? Because yes, every person is unique and everyone has their own experiences, right? But
Sure. Or I married a California guy, but I grew up in the heart of New York City. And we've got different cultural backgrounds as well, right? So,
Mhm.
but say more because I don't want to be naive here. I want to really understand what you're getting at.
sure. So I was just saying, but when you take the cultural aspects of the majority versus the minority, especially within America,
Uh-huh.
it's a difference. You can't compare a an average white female's upbringing to that of an African American or a Latina upbringing, right? So your cultural the cultural hardships, the experiences, the burden, the traumas is going to it's going to look different. And you're looking at, especially with underrepresented populations, that your trials and tribulations are going to be one that you have always had to face. You have to live with this. You wake up every morning and you can't disguise who you are just merely based upon your look. You can't disguise that. So how you wake up in the morning, Sarah, and how you go out there and face the world and how the world sees you is going to be completely different to how I wake up and how the world sees me. And
That
so,
makes more sense to me.
right?
If it's more about the majority versus minority, that the majority tend to have a more similar experience simply because of the privilege of
Correct.
having white skin, for
Mhm.
instance.
Mhm.
Okay. And that there is more trauma and hardship and identity struggles within minority cultures, wherever you are.
Mhm.
Is that closer? Am I getting it more?
Yes.
Yes. So what specifically in America, and I want to focus in on America specifically. If you are part of the dominant culture, there's not a lot of you have to work at trying to be different, right? From that dominant culture, right? So I have to work on not buying into that dominance, right? And not just living in that and using that as a means of escape and not connecting with the world around me with a level of humility, right? Where a lot of people that are part of the global majority, but are part of the minority in America, they have to work through all that dominance in order to figure out who they are. And so they don't have a chance to say, I don't feel like it today, right? There, that it persists consistently throughout. And that's not only specifically for African Americans, that's just for any individual that has been marginalized, right? They're working through that process.
Mhm.
And so they're
Every
always having to
single
show
moment
up. Yes,
of
they're always
their
having to show.
lives.
Moment.
There's no break from it. There's
Correct.
no, I don't feel like it today.
Correct.
Hence, there's more weight carried there.
Yes.
There's more
Correct.
trauma. Maybe, I don't even know if that would be big T, little t trauma, but
Mhm.
just there's no escape from
Yes,
having to navigate that.
absolutely.
Got it. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for helping me break that down, especially for our
All good.
listeners.
Yes.
I'm playing naive a little bit because I really want to. I think this is a conversation that a lot of people are unwilling to have because it takes a lot of vulnerability to say, I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
And so thank you for helping break this down and really get
Mhm.
into the nuts and bolts of it, if you will.
Mhm. Akin it to what kind of Terry said about an ecosystem, right?
I love
Yes.
this. Go on.
We have to work. Part of being in the ecosystem is having to work together. But if somebody controls all the resources within the ecosystem, then we aren't working together. That means that now we have this laborious task of trying to make this ecosystem work, but yet we are partners in the ecosystem working.
So how could you play into the system as if you are a member who belongs
Correct.
to it?
And allowing it to function the way that it's supposed to function for everyone to live effectively within the system that exists.
Now we're seeing that become even more
More
extreme.
pronounced. Absolutely. Because now we're noticing in this community that this ecosystem isn't working effectively, right? I'm getting far less air than you're getting in this ecosystem. And I'm feeling trapped and I'm feeling like I can't breathe effectively. And even the people that are participating in it, sometimes they're not even aware that they're participating in it, which is a whole nother thing,
Yeah.
right? Because they have adopted this ecosystem as being the right way it's supposed to be working, but this ecosystem has never worked effectively.
Yes. And I think it's not even about adopting it because this is the way it's supposed to be. I think a lot of people, especially right now in America, don't see another way.
Yeah.
It's not
Mhm.
that this is working. This is
Mhm.
clearly not working.
Mhm.
But to envision something different feels so outside of their
Comfort zone.
not just comfort zone, but like
It's very
experience
frightening
and
because
ability to dream.
and part of that is because they've been swimming in this water for so long that they're afraid to understand that this water is toxic.
That's right.
It's toxic water that you're swimming in. To believe that you're better than someone on any level is toxicity. And to now have
Back
to
to
get
the
out of
RLC
this,
principles, doesn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
it's now have to get out of this toxicity and actually and not realize that the water you're swimming in is toxic, but you're looking around it and you're not healthy. Right? It is time for us to work on cleaning ourselves off and at getting into healthier waters that are going to allow us to thrive.
And I think with that, the goal here is, if you look at this, we're talking about the toxicity levels of the water. We're not going to change the ocean.
That's where the
right?
grief comes up for me.
Right.
I know how to clean myself off and live
You do. But
purposefully.
you
But
do.
how do I?
But the average person doesn't. And that's what we want to help them with.
Got
Help,
it.
helping
One
them.
by one by one.
Yes. Helping them.
One family at a time.
That's it. That's it. Let us get you a nice clean lake, a nice clean pool. Let us just focus on you, because we're not being realistic and thinking, oh, we're going to go out here, we're going to drain this whole ocean and we're going to change this whole scope. That's not going to happen. And we're very realistic about it.
Mhm.
But what can happen is that you and your partner's relationship can change.
Which then means your
And
children's relationship changes.
relationship can change.
Your brother's relationship changes.
That is what creates that
Slowly.
impact, right? And now you are changing your family structure. And think of now the keys, the tools that you're giving on to those to come.
Mm-hmm. So we don't want the fire, as Terry expressed. We want the water.
I think you're gonna have to break that down a little bit.
So
our listeners don't necessarily know that.
Gotcha. So Terry talks about the idea of generational trauma rolling through the woods as a firewood from generation to generation, and you have to be the one to stop it. What we are saying is now we saw it in our families, and we have worked to reduce and reflect on the generational trauma and really work hard at it. And now we want that water of no longer having to carry that to roll just like that fire did from generation to generation.
Got it. Yeah. Clean water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. That's extinguishing those fires.
This podcast may bring up complex emotional reactions in you. This is not a replacement for personal support with someone trained to guide you through deeper exploration. Relational Life Foundation offers an incredible program that makes personal therapy services affordable to everyone. You deserve to know about this opportunity to experience private relational life therapy at a sliding scale rate. The foundation will personally match you with an RLT practitioner in training who aligns with your particular background and preferences. You'll even receive a free 15-minute consultation to ensure that it's the right fit before you commit. I hope you'll take this next step toward creating meaningful change in your relationships. Learn more at relationallifefoundation.org or click the link in our show notes. And now, back to our program. I'm someone who is living that also with you, one person at a time. Yeah, one couple at a time, one small community at a time. And I have to say, I struggle with it. I just personally, I want to be doing more. I want to be able to change more of our culture quicker. And I think the grief that comes up for me is, am I doing enough?
That's
Am
me.
I doing every single thing that I can?
That's me. My wife has to bring me down constantly because I'm always wanting to do more because I know where I came from. And I know some of my family that's still stuck in that space.
Yeah.
And I know that there has to be a choice. There has to be something that you choose. We can present you with the information. We can show you something different, but are you willing to choose to do something different? Right? We can't take out the idea of human choice. That once you wake up to it, what do I want to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Can't force people to change.
You can't force people to change. People have to really, and it's hard. It's hard work to change. It's extremely hard because we've been conditioned to do the same thing for years.
Well, and you're opening your eyes up to that. You have to be accountable to yourself.
Yes.
That's hard
And
work.
and that's hard. That's hard for someone to do.
It is hard work. And I guess what I'm getting at is I'm doing that work with my family, right? I'm raising my kid with so much more consciousness than I don't want to talk poorly about my father here, but I had to really work hard to change that pattern.
Absolutely.
And what I'm trying to say is, to me, that's just not enough. Yeah, I'm running this nonprofit or I'm hosting this podcast, but like, what else could I be doing?
Part of this for real though, is that your son is going to interact with some kids and he's going to be more culturally, have cultural humility. And then he's going to spread that to other kids, even within his school.
You bet.
Right. And then so that's going to be more. Right. So it's not always us doing the lifting. It's us starting
Planting
the
the seeds.
process.
Thank
Right.
you. That's
Right.
really important to remember because otherwise it feels futile, doesn't it?
Yes, it can. It can. And like they said, it's us planting the seeds, right? And we're just nurturing the soil to ensure that it grows in a healthy way.
Yeah. It's the most we can do.
That's it.
It's the most we can do.
And I tell you, Ron, when he gets into these moods, I remind him, I said, have you planted a seed today? Have you touched one life, either directly or indirectly? And he'll say, yeah. And I'm like, you did your part. Because every day is not going to be, you spoke to the masses and you saw this rolling movement. That's not going to be every day. But if you can just touch one, just one, you've made an impact. And that's it. And so I say that to you too, Sarah. You go out there and you plant a seed. You speak life into one person. You're doing what you're supposed to do.
I love that you said speak life into. Much of this work has started showing up for me as aliveness. And I've been so struck by the resiliency of the human spirit to go through the things that human beings go through and still have resiliency to be alive and fully alive. And I think that's what this relational work is to me about. It's about being fully alive.
The work is about not doling yourself down to fit into something. Or even to create this false sense of comfort in doling yourself down because it's what everyone else is doing. It's about being a pioneer in your life, right? It's about going out there, being somebody who is willing to explore themselves to a point they've never explored themselves before. And if you are willing to do that, yes, if you're willing to do that, you're willing to move, right? The human spirit is very resilient. We don't live on this earth for the number of years that we've lived here without that resiliency. The question is, how are we tapping into it?
With that thought, let's transition over to the programs that we're going to be co-offering to the world, to the communities. So we're, just to be a little more specific, we're talking about offering workshops, specifically relational healing workshops, both in person and virtually, so that people anywhere can access it too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We are looking to provide, going back to what you said, right? We are only single individuals, right? And so we can only see an individual at a time. But if we can create space through Relational Life Foundation to really help larger numbers of couples to become more relational, then they begin to plant those seeds. And then they can begin to expanding out, which then allows us to grow, because now if you're being relational, you are now building a different relationship with yourself and your family than you ever have. And you're becoming more connected to you, therefore being more connected to your partner. And so by offering these, we are really waking up individuals to themselves and their relationship. And so we're excited to connect in that way.
Stacy's beaming at you. I'm excited for this as well. And I know that part of your vision and your dream forward is that it becomes a train the trainer model, that at
Yes.
some point you'll have touched enough people within your own communities who come to you for supervision, who then become relational life certified practitioners. And you want to help train those practitioners. Is that right?
Yes.
Absolutely. But
Bigger
you know,
impact.
I think it's not even just, yes, training upcoming clinicians is important, right? But you said something earlier, Sarah, about the gentleman who sent in the inquiry from Africa as a pastor, not a therapist, not a coach. He just wants to help change his community. And that's what we want to do. We want to give people the tool that is necessary. So, like, they can, if we teach them, for example, to unlearn, let's say, toxic intimacy, right? And rebuild connection with your partner. We teach you those tools. You're not just implementing that with your partner when you are on the phone talking with a friend, when you're in front of a family member, when you're in front of someone in your community who is expressing to you what their challenges and struggles are. What are you doing? You're sharing what you've learned to them to help them implement within their own relationships. And
You
so,
don't have to be a therapist
no, and
to have impact.
that's the beauty of RLT,
Mhm.
right? That's like when you learn these tools, like the relational boot camps, right? Couples are coming not to, oh, we're coming here so that we can figure out how to become a therapist, right? Figure out how to become a coach. We're coming here so that we can understand a little bit better this dysfunctional cycle that we've been in, right? Gain the tools necessary to help us change the course of our relationship. And then we go back home and we implement that. And then what do? We're feeling better. We're looking better. We're getting noticed from our other couple friends, like, what's going on with y'all? That. And we're sharing, right? Like, I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to share with you these tools, but I'm also going to share with you the resource where I got them from. And that's
Human beings naturally do that. We want to share.
That's
Yep.
what we do. So instead of sharing the wrong things, right? Because we get that, right? You can't go over here and give advice and your house is a mess, right? So instead of sharing the wrong things, we want to give people the right tools that they need.
I just really am thankful for RLT, Relational Life Institute, Relational Life Foundation, for being courageous enough to have these conversations. And they didn't have to. RLT could have stayed where they were and it would have been fine. Sarah, you could have continued to do the work you were doing without introducing this topic. And so when we talk about seeds being planted, this is one of them for you.
Really important seed to me personally.
And so we are, because we are going to do the work. Stacy and I are going to do the work regardless, but Relational Life Foundation has thought it was necessary to partner with us to deepen the work, to expand the work. And we're excited about the partnership.
I am too. I haven't been this excited about any partnership that's come across my desk.
Fantastic.
This is why I'm here. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Well, this is definitely exciting. And I think as I look at this on a larger scale, I'm excited that this partnership is allowing us to show, and I'm going to go back to our people in our community, that they can start to see themselves in the work, in the language, in the healing that
and in the leaders.
that we are providing in this space. And it's rare. It's something that doesn't exist. It's rare and it's sacred and it's beautiful. And we're excited to be a part of that. And like Yaron said, we're going to do the work. We're going to keep working until we can't work anymore.
Well, hold on a minute. What? Hold on a
Yeah.
minute. Hold on.
And
What?
keep-
What?
I think I will too. I can't imagine retiring.
It's interesting. I was speaking with someone the other day who asked me, what is our ideal age of retirement? And I thought about it and I said, you know what? I don't see Yaron and I ever retiring. I always see us with the last breath in our body to continue being out there, helping members of our community become better versions of themselves.
Hold on a minute. You speaking for me. Hold on a minute. You keep saying
Is
this
there a
we.
mute? Can we mute his mic?
You keep saying we. Where's this we coming from?
That's it. So we are excited, Sarah. We are so
Yes, we are.
excited about this. We appreciate this opportunity, even again, to be here today and have this conversation, and hope that we can continue having these conversations because they're important. And again, it's additional seeds and it's resources to the community. And I would say for our listeners today, you like what you're hearing, you're moved by what you're hearing, share it. That's what it's about. It's about sharing information and resources that you find, supporting it, learning more about it. So don't just sit on the sidelines. This is not information to hog to yourself. This is what we want.
That's right.
Spread across.
And while we haven't made it public yet, if you sign up on Relational Life Foundation's mailing list or Relational Growth and Wellness's mailing list, you will be informed when these programs go live. And we invite you to share them. They will be accessible and affordable. We'll figure out how we're doing that. And we invite you to spread the love. This is not for us alone. That's right.
Absolutely.
Whew. Thank you both so much for doing this with me.
Thank you, Sarah. This was
Yes, this has been great. This has been great.
Glad. Thanks for listening to this episode of Facets of Connection. This show is brought to you by Relational Life Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to ending the chronic epidemic of loneliness by fostering community and transforming relationships. Its mission is focused on building stronger, more connected communities through research on relational health and through accessible therapeutic services and education. If you'd like to support this work, visit relationallifefoundation.org. Your generosity helps us make relational support available and accessible to more communities. On another note, I'd love to hear from you. Whether you've taken a workshop through Relational Life Foundation, if you're working with an RLT therapist, or simply if you have a guest or a topic to recommend for a future episode of Facets of Connection. I want to know, what's resonating with you? What's shifting? Or what are you still sitting with? Send me a quick voice memo or an email to Sarah with an H at facetsofconnection.com. Your story might even be featured in a future episode. I look forward to hearing from you. Facets of Connection is created by me, Sarah Melissa Oswald. Our executive producer is Carrie Allison Maloney, and our digital producer is Kim Novak. Follow us here on YouTube and wherever else you get your podcasts. Thank you in advance for your support. See you soon.